So today I'm going to try to explain the difference between static variables and instance variables. So static variables belong to the class, and all the objects within that class can share that variable. Sometimes you need it when you are calculating the total of the objects, maybe, or even if you are just having this constant variable like interest that goes all along. And so if it's a class called car and I have a static variable, that means all the car objects will kind of share that variable. But if it's a non-static variable, it's like if it's an instance variable, that means each object has a copy of that variable, so it's not sharing it. So for example, we are going to create an instance variable and we don't use static, so we're just going to create miles, and then we're going to create a static variable. Remember the car attributes, there's a lot of them, like there's wheels, there's windows, there's many others, but here we are just focusing on the miles one, so we'll just be doing that for the sake of explaining the difference between these two. So we have declared two variables. One is instance variable, the other is a static variable. So the next thing, we create a constructor. Remember, we've talked about constructors and their role in instantiating the objects. So the miles variable, we can instantiate it here, not at outside the constructor, just because we want the constructor to initialize all of these objects that will create under car to 0. So that's the best way to do it. And then the second thing, let's get a getter method. So a getter method will return something. So let's get the miles of each car, and we don't have parameters for this. And then we will return the miles. Okay, then let's create another method for utility method that will just do the calculations. So on those two variables at the top, let me call this total miles. I think it's better, it makes more sense. Remember, we talked about our variable names making sense, and I'm using the camel case here on the second one. So this one is a utility method, so it doesn't need to return anything, but we just want it to keep on adding. So if a car drives, we want to add the miles, and we want to the arguments for the miles to be passed into this method. So now what do we want? So we want each time the car drives, the miles should be added to 0 for that particular object. The miles should be added each time the car drives. If the car drives once, we update, it will just add that value. If it drives more than once, it will keep adding that value. And then the total miles, we can see it's the total of all these cars as they come. They can keep on adding to the total. So again, it will receive the miles. Now look at this, miles, miles, miles. So what do we do here? We don't want the same name, or if we do have the same name, we can differentiate the two names by using this instance. This belongs to the instance, and this one is for this method. So that's, if they are the same, you will see there will be a problem with the update. So, or do you want us to try? Maybe let's just try that, see what will happen, then we'll fix. So public static void main string args. We are creating the main method because that's where our program will start. So let's start creating car 1 equals to new car, and then let's create car 2 and car 3. car 2, car 3, and then car 3. Now let's just drive the first car. We're gonna drive car 1, okay? So we're gonna call the drive method. We're gonna add 1,000 miles to the car 1. So assume it drove 1,000 miles. So once you run this line of code, it jumps into the drive. You are calling the drive method. The 1,000 gets in here. It's being allocated to miles, which was initially 0, meaning we are adding miles, which was 0 plus the new miles. So that will be adding onto the existing miles. So, and same applies here to the total. So let's see if what we are saying is true. System.out.println plus, so let's say car 1 miles. We want to see what that will be. So we call the getter method because it will return the miles of car 1. So yeah, so this is it. Let's see the other two cars, because I did say the instance variables belongs to the object itself, it's not being shared by the other objects. So if we update car 1, does it mean car 2 and 3 will also be 1,000? We're about to find out. So let's compile and run. So this is what we got, and you see it's 0, 0. Nothing has been updated. You see, nothing has been updated. So something is wrong with the code. Let's go back. You remember miles is the same. We need to differentiate them. So we can differentiate them by saying this, using this dot to show that it belongs to the instance. So now car 1 has been updated, which is wonderful. But the good thing, the interesting thing is that car 2 and car 3 were not updated, you see. So for us to update car 2 and 3, we need to individually call them in this drive method at their individual miles. What about the total? Is the total going to be 1,000 or 0? Maybe let's total miles for so let's say for car, let's just call the total miles. Okay, something is wrong here. Oh, sorry, I didn't close. I'm sorry, I didn't close. Syntax errors can be so annoying. So we need to close at the end of the statement. So let's see what will happen. See, so the total miles so far is 1,000. So it's just for car 1. So how about this? Let's do drive for the other 2 cars. Okay. So let's say car 2 drives for 200 miles, and then car 3 drives for 500 miles. So can you guess what will happen? Do you think car 1 will be 1,000, car 2 200, car 3 500, then total miles will be the total of all of them? Is that what you think? Let's find out. Exactly. So the car one, so now you can see the differences between these. Let's see if I can open the code at the same time when I'm trying to explain that. Maybe it's not gonna work. Okay, anyways, you saw that car 1 was given 1,000, car 2 200, and car 3 500, and the total was 1.7 because the total can be shared by these three, but each one is on its own. So each one, the drive method can only work on each object in this line, individual object, because the miles variable belongs to each individual object. But for the total, this miles kept on being added because it belongs to all of them. They can share it. So each time we run this method drive, because we ran it 3 times, so the first time it added 1,000, then the second time 200, and then the third time 500. I hope this helps, that you can see the difference between the instance variable, which belongs to the individual object, and static variable, which belongs to the class and can be shared between these 3 objects. So thank you.